Welcome to my YouTube channel. My name is Teri Hunter. I'm an intuitive astrologer, and I'm here today to talk about the new moon in Leo on August 16th, 2023 at 2:38 a.m. Pacific time. What I'm going to do today is talk about some of the aspects that I think are going to have the strongest influence on us. And then I'm going to go through each one of the signs and talk about what house this is going to be in for you. This is based on whole sign Western astrology. So when I talk about a sign and a house, I'm talking about your rising sign. So if you don't know your rising sign, you can go to any one of the free birth calculators on the internet and plug in your exact time of birth and your location, and you will determine that information. I also think that if you have your moon in Leo, or you have your moon making an aspect to this new moon in Leo, this is going to be very powerful for you. And I'm going to go on to explain how that's going to play out. So what I'd like to do now is I want to share my screen and show you the chart of the new moon, and then we'll talk about the aspects. So let me do that right now. All right, here we go. The new moon is here in Leo at 23 degrees. A new moon is where the sun and the moon come together for the purposes of creation. It's like planting your seeds in the dark of night, and it begins a process of gestation, of nurturing. And here in Leo, we're going to be planting the seeds for what we want in the way of our romantic partners, what we want in the way of our children, meaning conceiving children, what we want to do in expressing ourselves, having fun and enjoyment and entertainment, and the more pleasurable experiences in life. And this new moon is making, I'm going to click on the sun here. These are the major aspects that are taking place with this new moon. The first thing I want to talk about is the idea that it is conjunct Venus retrograde. The new moon is at the Aquarian degree. So there's something about this new moon that's going to have a lightning effect. There could very well be new ideas that come to the forefront. They could be coming in quickly and rapidly. And a lot of these ideas may have something to do with making money, how you express yourself creatively. And also, as Venus is retrograde at the Virgo degree, I believe that this new moon could plant the seeds for potentially endeavors that create a dynamic where you make money, where you are shifting from potentially working for someone else to starting to incorporate your own personal idea of what you want to express. Also, this could be a time when you're determining if you still want to engage in your current work dynamic. Everything about Venus rules the five senses. She rules Taurus. She also rules Libra. So first we see her exploring, again, what we eat, how we engage in our environment. Venus rules our family history. So I believe this retrograde has been very powerful in her reestablishing her self-worth by her own definition. Now, as this is a conjunction, we see we're planting the seeds for something that's very important to us personally. It's an emotional thing. It's something that makes us feel valuable, makes us feel purposeful, makes us feel a sense of fulfillment is on the way. We see that this new moon is making a trine aspect to the North Node. And here next to the North Node conjunct is Eris. I don't talk about Eris often. I usually kind of keep some of the more outer planets not in my conversation, but today I was very, very pulled to her energy. Eris is the female version of Mars. I often think of her as the character Xena from Xena Warrior Princess. She has a rebellious side. Pam Gregory calls her the street fighter, but she is the one that believes very passionately about things. And when she believes something, she stands up for it. She fights till the end for it. She can be very relentless. And I say this not because it is an act of anger or violence, but rather that when she believes something is right, she's going to stick to it and she's going to fight for it. She really does represent breaking a box, breaking a ceiling of some kind. Eris was discovered in 2005, and she has been in Aries since 1926. She will stay in Aries until 2048. This is a huge chunk of time that crosses over generations. So I believe what she has been ushering in the sign of Aries is our own willingness to be courageous in our own lives, to look at how we want to express ourselves and then break the boxes that restrain us. We see here that she's at 25 degrees, which is the Mars Aries degree. And we have the North Node here at the 26th degree, which is the Taurus degree, which is ruled by Venus. So again, we have this feeling of with the degrees of co-creation here. And this trine aspect is bringing an awareness. And oftentimes I believe that an awareness is not always purporting the same behaviors in every situation. So here, as the North Node is ravenous to express itself, its individuality, to have adventures, to seek passion, and to experience life at its fullest, here we have Eris willing and able to fight for that. So here, this trine aspect has been going on for a while now. Eris, if we think about it, in traveling through the sign of Aries, this is the first time she's really getting into these higher degrees of Aries where we're mastering something. We're mastering our sense of self. We're mastering our anger and resentment and really determining whether it is tethering us to an old story that doesn't work for us, or it's liberating us into something that we really want to experience. Because we also see Chiron here. All of these points right now are retrograde. The North Node is retrograde, Eris is retrograde, Chiron is retrograde, and Venus is retrograde. And Chiron and Venus are making a very positive aspect where we transform the wound into the gift. Again, here's the Virgo degree, and I'm ready to release myself, to unchain myself from the obligations and duties expected of me as I liberate myself. And when I say liberate, this feels like something that comes from my mind. My mind is being liberated. The square to Uranus, exact at 23 degrees, is amplifying the Aquarian energy for me. It's amplifying the idea that I'm having some sort of ideas, thoughts, inspirations that are taking me into my future, into future chapters. And here I feel like this trine to these points here says, I'm willing to fight for my own personal identity and what I want to experience. I'm willing to stand my ground for the type of romance I want to experience, or for the conception of a child. Here, this is where Eris would say, I don't care what anybody tells me. If I want to have a child, I will conceive a child through whatever avenues are necessary. And so this is really individualistic. It's very powerful in that we're planting these seeds where we are not going to necessarily go to war in the way of using our physical body, although Eris could be considered physical. But here I feel like she's using her journey through Aries to use her head and be a strategist as she moves forward and stands ground for what brings passion into her life. And here she becomes very aware of Chiron's energy, because they've been having this dance for a while, and she's been determined to transform Chiron into the gift. And here, as we see this exact square from the sun and the moon to Uranus, there could be a sense of tension involved here. Leo rules the heart and it rules courage. And as I was doing my meditation this morning, I kept seeing the cowardly lion. And when I saw the cowardly lion, I really was resonating with the idea that he had a heart all along. And, what the wizard brought out was not something new, but something that was already latent within him. And so here, I think Uranus, even though it has a tense square aspect, is really bringing forth something that is already within you, something you've already been talking about expressing, something you've already wanted to experience, something that's been very important to you. And this is also Venus's contribution to this new moon. Now, we also see that the new moon is making a sextile to the south node. So these very favorable aspects are giving me an opportunity to plant mental seeds, to nurture my focus and my awareness of my focus as I move forward, and I sort of razor focus into my goals, into what it is that I want. And this willingness to sort of take my previous experiences and say they are what they are, that's not going to change me. This is the beauty of Aries, is that she will stand her ground and will not be shifted. And I think this is powerful, because within a cardinal sign, you have a sense of flexibility. So, and I say this because her flexibility is her awareness of how she's showing up, not what she's standing for. So when she was in the beginning degrees of Aries, she might have been more assertive or aggressive or even violent. But now at the later degrees of Aries, she's become a skilled warrior that knows how to strategize a situation in order to extract the greatest possible outcome. So I think this is really a very, very powerful energy. Now, when I go back to the chart of the day, we can see that Pluto is at 28 degrees, making a square over here to Eris and to the North Node. And then we see that making it's a square to Juno here. You can see Juno is at 0 degrees of Leo. So we have sort of this again, grand square. But here, when I look at this 0 degree of Juno coming into the sign of Leo, while Juno represents marriage and partnership, I think here there's a tension between what has been experienced and what is wanting to be experienced in the way of partnership. Again, Venus ruling partnership, ruling females. So there is a lot coming to the surface. I'm going to stop sharing my screen now. There is a lot coming to the surface that is giving us opportunities to make new choices. And those choices are really not based on what we think is possible or what we think is viable, but rather coming from our heart space, where we are told theoretically that everything is possible, but very few of us have had the tenacity or the faith to endure that part of the journey that is in the dark, the unknowing. And that's what a new moon is, where you plant the seeds in the darkest phase of your emotional body with faith and with the idea that if I nurture this, when I focus on this, I am actually giving life to it. When I go back and I focus in on, will it grow? Is it viable? That is actually thwarting the growth of my ideas. So the awareness of this is really what I think is the most valuable part of this new moon. And I believe that the trine to the North Node and Eris and Chiron is bringing this awareness to the forefront. And this awareness is actually a very inspiring awareness. It gives me an opportunity to sort of say, well, that was then, but this is now. And in this moment, I'm creating something more aligned to what I want versus what I think other people will approve of, other people will applaud, or other people will think I'm cool. Okay, so let's talk about the environment that this will happen. I'm going to start with Aries Rising, work my way around to Pisces. And again, the houses are representing the area of life where these new moon will be planting seeds. For my Aries, it's in your 5th house. This is the house of entertainment, the house of hobbies, the house of fun. It could be even, activities, sporting activities, because Aries likes to move. So here is a real opportunity. And I want to offer this to my Aries because you have been experiencing Eris and Chiron in your 1st house. And I believe this has been bringing up a lot about how you show up. Your ruling planet Mars spent 7 months in 2022 and 2023 in the sign of Gemini, which is the sign of my interaction with others in my neighborhood, my community, my workplace. It's also how I think. So I believe this new moon is giving you new ideas about how to assert yourself in a way that engages other people into your vision versus in some ways being off-putting to them. So anything that you're doing right now in the way of creating fun for yourself, entertainment for yourself. If indeed you're of childbearing years and you want to bring a child in, it might be a good idea to think about how harsh some of the aspects in the stars have been. Because when you think about it that way, and you think about you're inviting a soul into a physical experience, that soul has an agenda and a plan as well as you. So if there's been a wobble in the conception of a child, this could be a perfect time to invite that soul in with faith and determination and to stand your ground, to trust the process. For my Tauruses, this is going to be in your 4th house. The 4th house is the house of home. It is naturally ruled by the moon. The moon and the sun have come together to plant the seeds for a new experience. And here, this could very well be an experience where you individualize yourself from your from what you've experienced in your home life, where you kind of take the good from it, and whatever challenges there were, you have an opportunity now to put them in a certain place so that you can move yourself forward. This square to Uranus in Taurus, your 1st house, is exact. So there's a real opportunity for you to extract the wisdom of a situation. I never really believe that we can release something. Maybe there are people that can not think about it, but I'm not wired that way. So I need to make sense of a situation. I think that the square is the tense conversation I have with myself, whether or not I want to be a victim to a situation or whether I'm willing to move forward and liberate myself from something that has been challenging for me. So this is very powerful because Jupiter is also in your 1st house, rewriting your belief system and offering you an opportunity to experience diversity and new experiences that are attached to your expansion and your material wealth. So I think that this new moon is really about planting the seeds for a new experience within how you nurture yourself, how you nurture your own intuitions. Your ruling planet is retrograde in this 4th house. And this retrograde has been a real opportunity to sort of take what works and leave what doesn't work where it is. Don't try to sweep it under the rug. Don't try to eliminate it. Just use it as a point of reference. So I think that's very powerful. Gemini, Leo is your 3rd house, and this is happening within your network, your neighborhood, your community. And I think that there's a real possibility that you could be planting seeds for a new experience. When I think of Gemini, Gemini is a very fun planet. It loves to socialize and get out and about. And Leo is a very sociable sign. So this new moon may have you starting to think about how much time you're spending enjoying yourself. And are you getting out and about within the neighborhood? Are you getting out and about with your community? Are you absorbing and saturating yourself with things that bring you joy and pleasure versus things that feel as if I have to work towards them? Again, Leo is a sign of enjoyment. Leo is a sign of laughter. Leo rules the clown and the performer and the child. And all of those energies are entertaining, and they bring fun and a sense of innocence to life's journey, where there's always hope, there's always a hero, there's always a rainbow after a storm. So I think that's very powerful for Gemini. For my Cancers, Leo is your second house. This could very much have you reviewing about money, about how you make money, about planting the seeds for a new endeavor, using your skills, using your talents to, they call it a side hustle. There's the potential for that. Again, we know that Venus has been retrograde in the sign of Leo, offering us a real review. And Cancer sometimes can feel a little unsure. It's not the most bold sign of the zodiac. And here, I think this is really a new moon that's asking you to plant your seeds with a bold idea. This square to Uranus makes me feel as if I really want to think about my future. I want to renovate and innovate how and what I have been experiencing in the way of joy, in the way of fun, in the way of entertainment and relaxation, meaning fun relaxation. I also think that there's an opportunity for you to make sense of your family history and what part you played within that story, because you rule the family, you rule home, you rule hearth, and the second house rules how we feel about ourselves within that dynamic. It rules our sense of self-worth that our family gave us as we endeavor out into the world. So I think this is really about planting the seeds for a new experience and standing your ground for that. Normally the crab wants to kind of crawl back and forth, but here I think this is really where you sit in your emotional body and you recognize your emotional body is the vessel for your intuitive body and your connection to all that is. And as you connect to that and you allow the trine from the North Node and Aries and Chiron to really support this new version of what you want, and your willingness to sort of close your eyes about what you can see and trust what you feel coming from this chakra here, this heart chakra. Because again, Leo rules the heart, and in many ways, Cancer supports that because it rules the family where the heart grows. All right, Leo, this is your first house of self. And this new moon to me really feels like you're rewriting who and what you are, what you want, how you view life. I'm a big Abraham fan. I believe in the laws of attraction. I believe in the divine laws of the universe. So I know that my focus creates experiences for me. And sometimes when I walk through a challenging experience and it occurs to me that I co-created this on some level, I then have been blessed with the thought that maybe this challenging experience is offering me an opportunity to display the evolved version of myself. This is what I think is happening for Leo. I think that the trine to the North Node and Eris and Chiron is giving you an opportunity to extract the wisdom from your wound, to assert yourself in a way that feels authentic to you, to give yourself permission to look at how you express yourself. And rather than trying to focus on filling the seats in the auditorium where you're performing, rather knowing that the universe will draw those people to you. I really think that Venus's long stay in your house is having you look at how you feel loved, how you feel valued, and And this is really not about blanketing judgment and criticism on top of that, but rather a deeper layer of awareness so that you can be more focused and more determined and a little bit more like Aries. Again, standing your ground for what it is that you want to experience, what it is you deserve to experience as a soul walking this planet. Virgo, this is your 12th house. This new moon is going to plant the seeds for you to, I think, in many ways, look at an ancestral pattern of thought and belief and how you enjoy things, because the 12th house is where we feel unseen, where we feel invisible, where we escape to the bedroom to go to sleep and dream the things we want. And Virgo is a very dutiful sign. It's known to be loyal and dependable and practical. And oftentimes, human practicality will put entertainment and joy on the back burner in order to be productive. And I think this is a real opportunity for Virgos to assess whether or not that line of thought really works long term, or whether it's actually setting you up inadvertently for exhaustion. The 12th house rules health, rules mental health. It rules places where we put people, like orphanages and foster homes and mental hospitals, and where we store people that are outside the box of society. So here, I think this is a little bit about, and I say outside the box of society here because I feel like this 12th house ruling mental health is also having you start to determine how playtime, enjoyment, relaxation, maybe even taking a nap restores you and is important to your overall mission to be productive, to assert yourself and be dependable and be there for service to others. So I think this is really powerful, because the 12th house could also indicate that there are places where you don't even realize you're in a pattern of putting yourself last. You may not even see that about yourself because you're so used to operating in a certain way. So I think this is going to be very illuminating. And again, this is a new moon where we're planting the seeds for a new experience. The month of August is also interesting because we have 2 full moons. We started with the full moon, and then we're going to have a full moon in, I think we had a full moon in Pisces. No, it was in Aquarius. What am I saying? We're in the Leo season. So we're going to have a full moon coming up in Pisces when we get to the end of August. So I really think this is this new moon in Leo is setting up a dynamic for you to have a spiritual way of viewing your own replenishment, your own fueling of what you need, what makes you enjoy life and feel as if this is a fun place. Libra, this new moon is in your 11th house of networks, of the large social platforms, of big ideas, futuristic ideas. And having the South Node in your 1st house right now could really have you starting to evaluate what is important to you. If certain relationships or certain Venusian dynamics are still as much of a priority as they have been in the past, because the 11th house is also what is known as an Upachaya house, and it rewards over time. And when we've been on the human roller coaster for a while, we start thinking the rewards aren't ever coming. The idea that we can focus in on that and start to give life to, I don't need to chase my dreams. My dreams will come to me as I sit back a little bit and allow for the gestation process. And this is what a new moon is. Now, Leo, the sign of Leo, is very romantic, very synergistic to Libra's partnership and what Libra wants to experience in the way of comfort and beauty and connectedness and harmony and the beauty of music and art and culture. So here, I think that Libra has an opportunity to plant the seeds for a new endeavor, for something where you yourself are either experiencing some joy, some entertainment, some pleasure, but in a new way, in an expanded way. We also see the 11th house ruling science, ruling space travel. So this is a big house that is taking us into a place we've never gone before. That's where I'm getting at. So here, having it be the sign of Leo, I think this is about you allowing yourself to have ideas and thoughts that may not seem at all realistic right away. They may seem completely fanciful, and at the same time, they may be more closer aligned to an experience that you're drawing in than you realize. When I was younger, they didn't have Yelp, they didn't have Zoom, they didn't have any of these internet platforms. And so my version of who and what I would be when I was younger was very different because of what I could see with my eyes. And as I aged, my opportunities opened up as a result of 11th house activities. So here, Libra, you have an opportunity to really open yourself up as you don't look with your eyes, you look with your heart, and then you plant the seeds with your heart, and spirit will bring the vessels, the vehicles into your awareness to support that endeavor. All right, for our Scorpios, Scorpio rising, this is your 10th house of career and public image. Leo is a sign of leadership, and Scorpio is a sign of leadership, I believe, because Scorpio rules power and control, and I should say governs power and control. And a real leader knows how to inspire others. And I personally love the sign of Scorpio. I tend to love the more challenging signs, I think, because they extract a deeper truth from me. They bring out an authenticity to me. So here, Scorpio, I believe that this Leo new moon in your 10th house is offering you an opportunity to really plant the seeds for who and what you want to be in relation to your career, in relation to how other people view you. And I want to say it this way, because this is not about playing to the audience. This is about being your authentic self and allowing other people to observe that, to experience that. When I think about the things that Scorpio rules, it rules other people's money. So it rules stockbrokers, it rules the stock market, it rules investments and things like that. So you may find yourself investing in gaming or in entertainment type things, or maybe a combination of things. Again, Venus is in Leo. So you may be assessing these things, thinking about these things, planting the seeds. This is not about the fruition or manifestation. This is the conception of something. So you may start thinking about that. You may even start to investigate or research like electronic money, Bitcoin, kind of things like that. I don't know. Sagittarius Leo is your 9th house. This is a very, the 9th house to me is a house where after I've experienced some of the trauma of the 8th house of Scorpio, my beliefs have changed. I've broadened. I've learned something that was beyond the scope of what I thought I could experience, because there's so much expansion in the 9th house. And Leo is a sign of leadership. Leo is a sign that rules the things in life that make us feel individually fulfilled and of service to others in some ways, because when we stand in leadership for others, we are in service to others. And Sagittarius, I believe this is an opportunity to plant the seeds for a new sense of yourself. And I want to say it this way, because again, I want to sort of nail or hammer on the ideas that Venus is conjunct this new moon. So everything about this is going to be, regarding Venusian things, how I make my money, how I feel about myself, my beauty, my value, my voice, my skills, my crafts, my home, my couch, my pillows. And here, Sagittarius, you're going to be planting the seeds for a whole new experience. You could potentially even be thinking about moving to a new country for a while, or moving to a place where you've never been before that feels foreign to you. There could also be a dynamic where you start endeavoring new activities that are not local to you. You know, maybe you started, engaging in an astrology internet group, or you decide to take a trip, and so you start planning that trip. Again, with Venus retrograde, I wouldn't jump on the plane just yet with this new moon. I would start planting the seeds for the ideas. Capricorn, the Leo is your 8th house. And I think this is so wonderful because the 8th house is all about transformation, and Capricorn can be a lot about duty and about obligation. And that's almost the opposite of Leo, in the sense of Leo wants to be seen for the individual, wants to enjoy itself, wants to laugh out loud. And, Saturn could be like, we have no time for laughter. We've got work to do. So here, I really think you'll be planting the seeds for the transformation that you've already been engaging in as Pluto has been going through your 1st house. Now, I talked about Eris earlier, and she has been in the sign of Aries for almost, over 90 years. She's been in 3 years. She will be there for 100 years. So we have been going through a series of transits over this period of time that's really been flushing out the individual passions and the adventures and the things that we want to experience. And when we layer the Eris energy in Aries with the Leo energy, the trine that they're making to one another, this is really about Capricorn allowing for this transformation of self, allowing and surrendering to your version of you and allowing that to be birthed into the world. The 8th house rules death and rebirth. And Pluto has been in many ways chiseling out a new version of who and what you are. And I believe this is where we start to rewrite Saturn and remember that Saturn gave us the tools to rule the golden age, and a new golden age is upon us. Aquarius, Leo, is your 7th house. This is a real opportunity to plant the seeds for new life, new fun, and new experiences in your partnerships. And I want to offer this as well because Venus is going through your 7th house. And this could have to do with intimate relationships, but it may also have to do with your friendships with females or your interactions with females. There is a feeling of liberation coming. And I think that's the square that Uranus is presenting at this time to the new moon. And there's an awareness. There's something about suddenly, sometimes you hear something 100 times and it just seems to not really connect. And then that 101th time, you're like, oh my gosh, I can't believe that. There's something coming about that. And that tells me that as that square provides some sort of illumination, okay, then I feel as if Aquarius is willing to take action on that. So I think there's going to be a potential of trying new things. I don't know, maybe you and your partner want to go learn how to fly because Uranus rules air travel. Something feels as if it's going to it's an interesting feeling because the square to Uranus and the new moon feels a little bit tense, but then the trine kicks in and I feel like I'm going on a big adventure with the person that I love. And it's bringing new life. It's actually feels as if we are like a little bit like Bonnie and Clyde. I'm not saying you're criminals, but you could be a little rebellious in your love affair and do something totally unexpected. Okay, now we have Pisces, our final sign. This is in your 6th house of health, of employment. And I want to offer this because the human experience does not give a lot of credence to frivolity and to being just, hanging out. I want to, because, everybody's working for the weekend, right? So the majority of the time we spend in a work environment in service to others. And then we have these little few days to really spend enjoying our lives. And I think there's going to be a rewrite because Saturn has been going through your 1st house asking you many, many questions about the people you're involved with, about the relationships you've been entertaining with your employers, with, and this is Leo is your 6th house. Saturn is in your 1st house, asking you who and what you want to be and how you want to write that. And also Saturn has been tasking you to treat your body better, to be more nutrient aware. I want to offer that. And so Saturn rules agriculture. So it does have its influence on our food. It can make it dry and boring, but that's a whole other story. Here, I think this is an opportunity for you to be impassioned, to find a sense of adventure in taking care of yourself. You know, Pisces is at 12, rules that 12th house. And while it's very dreamy and very spiritual, it's also a house where in the human experience, I can feel invisible. I can feel as if I must be of service to others, or people just don't see me. You know, somehow they miss me through the fog. And here, I think this is about sort of cutting the chains that have enslaved you to that very compassionate and empathetic idea to be there for others. And now maybe this is about being here for you. And the first stop feels as if it's taking my mental health, my physical health, and driving the bus of putting that in balance. So I'm having more fun. I'm enjoying the things I'm eating. I'm enjoying my life. I'm enjoying, again, Leo, it's about enjoyment. It's about excitement. It's about adventure, you know, the adventure of romance, the adventure of bringing new children into the world, the adventure of expressing yourself and hearing the audience applause. So I want to offer this for my Pisces who are endeavoring creative work environments. This is a wonderful, wonderful time to plant the seeds in a way that blows the bars off of any doors or windows, and you go unabashedly into your imagination and then nurture that imagination so that spirit can start to bring in the people and the resources in order to move that story forward. And I think what Saturn is looking for from Pisces is your sustainability, your endurance to continue down that road beyond what you see in the way of results in the physical. Because oftentimes I have experienced that when I get impatient for something to happen, and then I finally surrender to the timing of it because I can't make it happen any faster, the experience is sweeter and more rich than I could have planned. So I've learned, and this is the beauty of age, is when things seem to be slamming doors in my face, the spirit's got a bigger idea going on. And my job is to buckle into the roller coaster and enjoy the ride. Okay, so this is how I feel about this new moon in Leo. I think it's a very powerful moon for standing my ground, for being willing to dig into my own personal beliefs of how I want to roll with my life and what I create in my life. And I think that this is sort of the very energy that is ushering in the acceptance of what other people want, and being more open to the diversity that we experience on this planet, which then takes us into this Aquarian age of new. And when I say new, I mean new ways of being a human. A lot more fun ways of being a human. All right, that's it for me. Again, my name is Teri Hunter. If you'd like to book an astrology reading with me or an intuitive reading with me, I am available. My information is below in the description. And please join me Sunday mornings at 11 a.m. Pacific time, where I do weekly readings for each sign. That's where we get the angels' advice for traversing the transits for the week ahead. All right, everybody, please like, please subscribe. I'll see you soon. Peace out.